Hi everybody, afternoon path chat covering equity indices. So equity futures. This is Bob Iacchino along with Mike Arnold from Path Trading Partners. Before I turn it over to Mike to show you what he's seeing on the charts, let me talk a little bit about what he's going to cover. This is a VIX chart, which is of course the Volatility Index that you see on your screen right now. The Volatility Index is also known as the Fear Index or the Fear Gauge, and you see that spike all the way to the bottom right there that Mike's going to talk about. He's going to point some things out about the way the chart is behaving. Now, moving forward, he's also going to talk about the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, and then a little bit on crude oil, which we covered in depth this morning. If you didn't see our crude oil update, you should watch that if crude oil interests you, because some of the things that Mike pointed out played out already. In terms of the Dow, we ended our record close streak at 12, which is a tie for the most record closes, consecutive record closes. The other 12-day consecutive record close streak was in 1987. So in the 120 some odd year history of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 12 is the record. We matched that and we finished lower today. Some comments from some Fed governors. We had Federal Reserve Bank President John Williams say that he thinks an interest rate increase should receive serious consideration. He said, "We are very close to achieving our dual mandate goals, yet monetary policy essentially still adds the pedal to the metal. We need to gradually ease our foot off the gas in order to avoid too hot an economy that isn't sustainable." Also, earlier in the week, Federal Open Market Committee voting members, Robert Kaplan and Patrick Harker, expressed the desire to move rates along at a quicker pace than perhaps the doves think. So interesting that they're kind of pushing it in that direction. Mike and I have talked about that a lot, how they're going to have to get a lot more aggressive in their statements in order to convince the market that March is on the table. When we covered FX this morning, I mentioned the CME Group interest rate tool. As of this morning, the odds of a rate hike had risen to 35%. That's a rate hike in March. As of the close of business today, it's 39.9%. So those odds are going up. So let me turn it over to Mike to go over the price action for the day for you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for those updates, Bob. So as Bob mentioned, we have the VIX chart. This is the highest value it's closed in 2017. It opened higher on January 3rd, but closed lower than it did now. On January 3rd, it closed at a level of 1285. Today, it closed at 1292. So this is the highest close of 2017. It did trade higher. If it continues to rally up, critical levels I'm really watching are this 14 level, low 14s. See, we were there at the end of November, at the end of the year. We spiked these 14s. If we can get a sustained move above there, something is definitely shifting. If it continues higher, watch for significant resistance. And people do trade the VIX, so it can be traded. But until we get out of the real range above 14, we're still in this big trading range we've been in since here's the collapse after the election. So that's where that stands. Let's take a look at the Dow. So the Dow, this was just a slight pullback today. Nothing much going on. If we do continue the pullback tomorrow, I'm watching about the 2,700 level, key GAN level, rising 8 there. Next level, should we have a bigger multi-day pullback, 2,567. And then we really come into about the 2,483 with our rising rotation zone. Also updated the levels higher. If we turn around and move up tomorrow or anytime this week before we update it again, our next GAN cluster is right around the 2,100 mark. That's going to be a GAN cluster right around there for higher moves. S&P pulled back today straight to the 8 and the key GAN level of 12.5%, 2357 was that level. And what was our low today? Our low today was 2357.50. So spot on with that. Should we drop again tomorrow, the next major support level is not till 2344 on our GAN levels. And then the next lower is 22 23.30 should we have a more substantial pullback. We also have a key trend line that's rising in conjunction with the 21. So this area along here, what I'm highlighting, is going to be pretty significant support. If we turn and break out above the highs from yesterday, which are 23.70, 75, my next target higher is 23.8403. Finally, the Nasdaq. Again, not much of a pullback, just tested the 8. We already had tested this other GAN level, the 52.97, earlier in the week. So nothing else to report that. We're also still in this channel line and this rising wedge level. So if we do break below this trend line, next key areas are around the 52.60 followed by the 52.33, and will also possibly then have triggered a wedge. If we move higher and get above the close or the high from February 23rd, we're looking at 53.6125 as that high. If we move above there, next level we're going to target, it's just going to be a psychological level, the 5,400. People love to target the round numbers. But my next key level is the 54.25 that we've come up with. Finally, in crude, talked about key support from this trend line. We came down earlier today, tested this trend line and also the 50% GAN level right around. So there's going to be support, just above 53, which we have the 53.13 GAN level and the rising trend line. We came above it and then bounced all the way back up here to the upper end of the range. So this trend line has now been confirmed again. So we'd really, before I see lower prices, we're going to have to see a close below this trend line, and then the next levels down would be 52.65. If we continue our rally tomorrow, watch for 54.64 followed by 55.05. Those are the updates on those key levels. I'm going to turn this back over to you, Bob. Talk to everyone later.
Thank you, Michael. If you're enjoying these videos or you find them useful, click the like button, click the red subscribe button, and then after you click that red subscribe button, there'll be a little bell icon. Click on that so that you can get notified by YouTube as to when we release a new video. Trump's speech tonight addressing Congress, that will move the markets, mainly the FX market, but it'll move the equity futures as well, which is why we wanted to cover this for you guys. New Money Path podcast is out. Type in the Money Path podcast into your iTunes search bar or Google Play and subscribe to that as well, or grab it from our website, support@pathtradingpartners.com. If you get time and you listen to the podcast, please leave us a review. That would help a lot as well. Also, follow us on Twitter, Path_trading. Like us on Facebook, Path Trading Partners. And then go to our website and shoot us an email or leave a comment on one of these videos if you want to reach us. The email to reach us is support@pathtradingpartners.com. Cheers, everyone. We'll speak to you guys bright and early.